in use, a lot of things that you can do that make a big difference in the end.
But you know what, Maddie, I think we see a lot of hypocrisy on those issues too, because people will buy a Prius and they'll drive the Prius where they can walk to. So I think that, you know, we all need to start doing, you know, I think there needs to be a national discussion on this.
Of course.
And, you know, there needs to be education, first of all, because if not, you're going to have people doing the same things I just spoke of.
Right.
You know, unnecessarily having a larger carbon footprint, having an unnecessarily large carbon footprint.
Right.
And great. And Maddie, I'm glad you actually mentioned that, because in concerns to making a change, do you think it can happen?
Eventually, I think it can happen, but of course, it can't just happen if every individual person does their part. Governments have to get involved. I mean, for instance, the United States didn't sign on to the Kyoto Protocol, which is one of the most important things. And the international community as a whole pretty much accepted it as an attack on global warming, and the United States didn't. So we need bigger solutions too, and I think there's definitely hope for it.
As I believe the Congressman mentioned earlier, since we didn't sign on to those protocols, that gives us a responsibility to do something to work towards a solution to this problem. And I definitely agree that you know, things like wildfires, heat waves are evidence that we need a solution. It's not a question of what we should do. It's not a question of when we should do something. It's a question of what we should do. And I think that a solution needs to be found immediately.
Definitely. I definitely agree with what they're saying. I think that I personally feel empowered. I feel like there is something I can do about this. But, you know, I don't feel like it does as much if I don't have the support of the government, if I don't have the support of, you know, just the society as a whole. If I feel like I'm the only one with my green can out recycling on Wednesdays or whatever they do recycling, you know, it's not very encouraging.
Yes. Right. What about you, Ron?
Well, seeing as how the country has made it so easy for us to do something about it, I mean, we have a tax break for having a hybrid vehicle. I mean, they've given us, the city has given us, in Washington, D.C., they've given us recycle bins in the past year, and there's just so many things that we can do as citizens to really fight this issue.
You know, Ron, I'd also say that on campus, I've seen recycling programs start up, I've seen conservation programs start up, and there's really been a whole process that's begun out of this whole discussion that's started in the country, that students really see that they can take small steps that will affect big change. And I think that's a very positive step in the right direction.
I like how you touched on the peer pressure aspect of it. Not direct peer pressure, but when everyone's doing it, it's like,
pressure, just making
you get into it. It's a cool thing to do.
Yeah. Right. And speaking of peer pressure, what have you guys done to make a change? I mean, have either of you taken steps to make a change?
Well, I can say that when I was about 6 or 7 years old, I used to watch a show called Captain Planet, and at the end of the show...
That was the show. That was the show. I used to watch it too.
At the end of every show, they would have a segment about saving the planet.
Yes.
They tell you that when you brush your teeth, not to use too much water, to turn off the lights when you leave the room, and to also avoid driving if you have to, take a bike, take a walk, things like that. So all my life, I've pretty much been conserving, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Well, my mom was Captain Planet. Whenever I left the light on, she kindly reminded me, turn off that light, you know. So I think that, you know, just putting all the jokes aside, that was something that was instilled in me. But I think consciously I've been making, you know, decisions, okay. Like today, I walked down to the studio. You know, it wasn't that far of a walk, but why cop on a bus that's going to put out emissions when I can just walk? And I think those have been conscious decisions I've made. And I'm still turning off the lights.
I'd also mention, Mike, that a lot of those things that, you know, we all do, that we've all talked about, we've learned from, you know, a young age what we should be doing to take positive steps in the right direction to affect change. And I think that one of the most important things we can do as a community and individually is help younger people, the younger generations, learn about these simple things, because you don't see many shows like Captain Planet anymore. And we need, we need to do more things to help people learn these steps that they should be taking.
Okay, what about you, Maddie?
Yeah, I agree with what Mike was saying. My mom also, she obsessively unplugs every television when we're not using it, and turns off all of the lights to the point where at night you can't really do much in my house because all the lights are off. So yeah, and I think that there's a big movement that's centered around schools. Sidwell Friends in Washington, D.C. has developed a whole green building where everything is self-sustaining. So there are a lot of things that are happening, especially in like educational communities, that are starting to affect change.
All right. Thank you guys, my pair panel, and you guys have been great. So we're going to pay homage to Ron later on and sing that Captain Planet song. That song is how I remember it.
Matt, I think we may have to check our bloodlines if we're related.
When we come back, we'll have our news of the week. Stay tuned.
can I ask a few questions about the apartment on Park Street?
What was your name?
My name is Juan Hernandez.
It's been rented.
Hello, my name is Sanjay Kumar. I am calling about the apartment on Park Street.
It's just rented.
My name is Tyrone Washington. I'm calling about the apartment for rent on Park Street.
It's not available.
I use a wheelchair and...
It's gone.
Hello, my name is Graham Wellington. I'm calling about the apartment for rent on Park Street. Is that still available?
Yes, it is.
What is?
Housing discrimination is illegal. If you think you've been a victim, call us.
My pot of gold, your daddy's little girl, till heaven home.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to Civics 101. This week, we are pleased to announce a guest news reporter. Joining me here in the studio is Maddie Joseph, a senior at Woodrow Wilson High School in Washington, D.C. Maddie is also a managing editor of Young D.C., a newspaper by and about Washington area teens. Maddie?
Thanks, Anthony. I'm going to report on two stories that we're writing about in this October issue of Young DC. First, about global warming. Cool Capital is a local, region-wide campaign that's instructing people to do their part to stop global warming. Its partner in the area is Washington Parks and People, whose director, Steve Coleman, told Young DC that youth leadership is absolutely key. We'll win with it and lose without it. So, Cool Capital says that in the month of October, around Halloween, the vampires you should be worried about aren't the ones that suck blood. They're the ones that suck energy. Billions of dollars worth of it every year. And release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Tons of it, which contributes to global warming. These vampires are unused chargers, old refrigerators, and out-of-date light bulbs that take energy and don't even use it. Another feature in the October issue of Young DC is a review of a new hot dog restaurant on 18th Street in Adams Morgan called Madog Hot Dog. It offers a variety of different hot dogs,